What's up, everybody? This is DJ. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the audio coming in pretty good?
Hey, DJ,
Yeah.
Jeff. You're okay.
Sounds good.
We're going to get started with this webinar. I'm going to say this. We're going to go through some brief intros because I see some people are jumping on and I don't want to repeat myself 5 minutes down the line. So we're going to go through some intros. Just let me know who you are as far as what area are you from? And, we're going to be doing these webinars. We're kind of tag teaming these webinars. I got my co-host, Julian. So again, my name is DJ. I'm part of the Touchpix team. I've been on the team for about 3 years. I'll let Julian introduce himself as well, if he wants to unmute the mic.
Hey, everybody. My name is Julian. I'm from Mexico, part of the Touchpix support.
Thanks, Julian. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and just turn the mic over to some participants. Again, I'm DJ. I'm out of California. It is 6 p.m. I know some of you guys are in the East Coast and it's a little late. So thank you for taking some time out of your night to learn about Touchpix and Scanpix. I think it's going to benefit your business tremendously. And we're here to assist. So you can get a hold of us via the chat. You can drop some questions in there. But whenever you need any support assistance, you can either email the support email, which is support@touchpix.com. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. Or you can go over to the webpage at touchpix.com and you'll see a little live chat. It's almost, I want to say it's almost 24/7, right? There's some odd hours of the late night that you might not find any support agents, but I think it's very close to 24/7 support around the clock. We do have a team that's based out of everywhere. So Julian's out of Mexico, kind of one of the border states. I'm out of California. We got Charles out of Atlanta. We got a bunch of other team members that are from all over the area as well. So I'm going to go ahead and type in some support emails. We are going to cover, like I said, we are going to cover Scanpix with great detail. I don't want nobody getting overwhelmed. If I'm going too fast, feel free to unmute the mic and say, hey, DJ, just slow it down a tad bit. I've been doing this for a little while now, so I tend to go a little fast at times, but if you guys can keep up, that'd be great. If not, just let me know to slow down. So I'm going to go ahead and just call names as I see them on my screen. Just let me know where you're from. Let me know. We're going to be doing some webinars moving forward every Wednesday. Julian and I, we're going to alternate every other Wednesday. You'll get Julian and I in English. We do a webinar in Spanish. And then you got Charles and Tia, who are awesome as well. And they're going to be doing it every other Wednesday as well. So we're just going to be tag teaming. So I see Christine Guzman. Christine, if you want to meet yourself, just say where you're from, what you're trying to learn with Touchpix. And we're just going to go ahead and do this while some people are coming on board still.
Oh, great. Thank you. Christine, I live in Pennsylvania. So I'm on the East Coast. I've had Touchpix now. Actually, I just celebrated 1 year in business, and I've been with Touchpix from the very beginning. So I'm excited to learn more. Awesome.
We hope that this webinar is going to be full of information for you. So welcome, Christine. Next, we got Dimitra Jackson. If you want to unmute yourself, introduce yourself, where are you from, how long you've been with Touchpix, and what you're trying to learn.
Good evening. I am Dimitra Jackson. I'm out of Dallas, Texas. And I've been with Touchpix about a year. So I've been in business about a year. And so I'm very interested in learning about Touchpix and how to connect Scanpix when I'm somewhere where there's no service at all.
Perfect. You're on the right webinar. We understand that we all do, both Julian and I, including myself, we own multi-op businesses as well. So we do this for a living. We're not just part of the Touchpix team that is employed by Touchpix. So we have our own businesses as well. And we've all done events where there's no internet or there's no data on your cell phone and you need to deliver your content. So we're going to show you Scanpix on how you're able to achieve 100% delivery. And welcome, Dimitra. Nice having you. We got another DJ in the house. It's DJ Ray. Where are you from, Ray?
What's up, everyone? DJ Ray here. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. If anyone knows where that is.
Wow, what time is it over there?
Right now, 1:05 p.m. in the afternoon.
Oh, wow. Welcome, Ray. How long you been using Touchpix and what are you trying to learn today?
Good question. A bit about myself. I'm a DJ for 40 years and photo booth operator for 10 years and 360 operator for the last 4 months. And we're up to our 13th event this Saturday. And this is our second event at 4K. So using the GoPro wired to the iPhone. And we want to learn to add in Scanpix. Hopefully we can get that understood today, and then we can run it for the first time this Saturday.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a jam-packed agenda for today. Like I said, if I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down, but welcome. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go with, I see Joanne Jackson.
Yes, hi.
How you doing, Joanne? Where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I've been using Touchpix for about a year, so I've been in business for a year. And I reached out to you last year about Scanpix, got the router, but never used it. So I've been playing with it, and I got a lot of questions.
Got it. Well, welcome. It's been
Thank
sitting.
you.
It's been sitting in your closet for about a year. We're going to put it to use now. So hopefully
Yes,
you can
please.
you can follow along. But thank you and welcome. We're going to go with I see a Jorge. Jorge, are you there? You want to introduce yourself? If not, it's fine. I can go ahead and go down my list. Going once, going twice. Let's go with, I see a Jose Padilla.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jose. I'm located in Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. I have been in the photo booth business for about 7 years. I also own other rental services, like not DJ, but more like a light, what do you call it? Lighting,
Oh, okay.
up lights and LED dance floors and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to learn more about Touchpix. I use it already, but I have seen the Touchcam, but I haven't played with it. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so I'm looking forward to learn a bit.
Well, welcome. I know it sounds like you're keeping pretty busy with uplighting and LED dance floors, if I understood you correctly.
Yep.
You know, we'll get you up to speed. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time and joining us. Let's go next with Ivy Williams. Ivy, if you're on the call, just where are you from? How long have you been using Touchpix, and what are you trying to learn today?
Hi, I'm from Vegas. I just started with Touchpix maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm just trying to learn more about Scanpix. So
awesome, Ivy. I got a jam-packed agenda for you today. Welcome. You know, thank you for being a new user, and I hope you learned a lot today. That's going to catapult your business to where it needs to be. Sharing is a big issue, and we're just going to go ahead and address that today. That way we have an understanding how you can deliver your content without the need of internet or data. Let's go down the list. We'll get started in a few. I see Monica.
Good evening, everyone. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Been with Touchpix for about a year. Just trying to learn what Scanpix is all about.
Well, welcome, and I hope we have a educational webinar for you. That way you can use all of these features in your business and understand how it works. I see a familiar name here. I see Tiffany. Welcome, Tiffany. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Hey, everyone. This is Tiffany, and I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. As of now, I've been using Touchpix exclusively for the past 2 years. And I have the equipment for Scanpix, but I have not used it as of yet. Typically in our 360 and photo booth events, we airdrop almost 100% of the time. But what I found is that when we are at very heavily populated events, the airdrop works very, very slowly, and sometimes it will not work at all. So I'm definitely anxious to hear more about the appropriate use of Scanpix. That way, no matter how many people are in the event, and no matter what the airwaves look like in terms of Wi-Fi or anything else, I want to know how Scanpix can help aid the use of our Touchpix events so far.
Got it, Tiffany. Well, welcome. Nice to have you on the call. I know Tiffany's been a longtime user. I've seen her at Photo Booth Expo in Las Vegas every year. For those of you that don't know about Photo Booth Expo, I suggest you guys do a little bit of a Google search on Photo Booth Expo. It's typically the end of February of every year. It's in Las Vegas. It's the biggest photo booth expo in the nation. So,
and the world, actually, isn't it? Not just the nation, in the world.
I think so. I think you're correct. I think there's new photo booth exhibits now all over, but I think you might be right. I think that is the biggest one in the world. I know there's one in Australia. I know there's one coming up in London, but it is the biggest one. So if you're interested in anything new in the market, photo booth wise or 360 or any type of new experience, I recommend you guys look into Photo Booth Expo. It's typically done during the week for those that do events on the weekend. It's kind of like the off season for a lot of people at the end of February. So do a little bit of research. Tickets are super affordable, and I don't think you'll regret anything because they'll have everything in the industry that you need to run your photo booth or 360 booth. They'll have props, they'll have backdrops, they'll have a lot of different options for you to choose from. So if you don't know, start looking into that. We're about 10 minutes in, so I'm going to allow for people that want to introduce themselves to go ahead and unmute yourselves, or else we're going to get started. Just because my list is rapidly growing and I don't know where I left off now. So if anybody wants to introduce themselves, go ahead and do so now. This will be recorded. It'll be uploaded onto a YouTube account. I'll post it in the group, but just for people that need to leave for whatever reason, I totally understand if you end up leaving early, and it will be recorded. We'll post it up in YouTube. But if there's nobody else, we're about to get started with the webinar. So what I did is I created a small video that I'm just going to narrate over as we go through the steps. So I'm going to recommend two routers. And the reason why I'm recommending these two routers are because these are the routers that I've personally used that have had a lot of success with both of them. I'm going to include the model numbers. I'm going to include both options. They both work great. One of them is probably about $119 or $109. The other one, you could probably find it for about $60. They work exactly the same. The reason why I'm showing both of them is because I moved to a smaller router, which is a little bit more expensive because it's a travel size router. It's easy for me to carry around without having to worry about the antennas breaking or putting it in a box or anything like that. So those are just preferences that I'm going to throw out. So we're going to get started with the video, and we're going to save some questions to the very end. We're going to open it up for questions in the event that I didn't explain something very well, or you have just additional questions on how that works. So I'm going to show you a video of both of my routers, pretending that you are ordering your routers from Amazon or Best Buy or whatever electronic store you have near you. You're going to grab that router, and what are you going to do with that router? Well, first thing is when you unbox anything is you're going to power it on. So it's going to start from the power on mode, and there's a couple of settings that you guys are going to need to go into to ensure that you can configure your router correctly, because you're not going to leave the default router name. And the reason why you don't want that is because sometimes the default router name comes with special characters, or it comes with certain lengthy names that you're going to want to simplify that for your guests and how to set that up in Scanpix. So hopefully you guys can see the video right now. I'm about to play it, and let's get started with it now. Let's see. 1 second here. Here we go. Are you guys able to see the video? You guys can see the video?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So these are both of the routers that I use. The one in the left is the one that I started with. The model is a TP-Link AX3000. It'll also be listed on the video. I moved to the smaller version, the gray one with the orange sticker, based on the fact that it's just the same features as the bigger router. The antennas are more portable. You can fold them and it comes in a special case. Both of these routers you can actually power via battery bank. As you can see in the back, I have a blue battery bank. If you need to go mobile, where there's, you know, say you're doing an event, you know, out somewhere where there's not much power and you have a battery operated 360, these can be battery operated as well. They're 12 volts. This one runs off a USB-C, the gray one does, and the black one runs off 12 volts, a standard barrel connector. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, these are the routers that I use. And like I said, it's a TP-Link router. I have my iPad inside a case, pretending it's a sharing station. And these are the exact model numbers for each router. One of them is a TP-Link AX3000. The other one you can find on Amazon by searching the GL iNet GL AXT model number. So it's really a preference thing. So right when you get your router, you open it up, you're going to power it on. This is what you need to learn about configuring your router. If you flip your routers upside down, the routers will give you a network name, right? Once you have a network name, which means like your home Wi-Fi. If you're looking for your home Wi-Fi, some people name it home Wi-Fi. In this case, this specific router, which is the little gray one, is going to be called GLAXT, and it's going to give you a key. If you look at the key here, it says 8492NC W7RP. For me, that's super long. I'm not going to remember that. And in the event that I need to set up my Scanpix rapidly, I'm going to need to simplify those methods, right? So I'm just pointing out that if you flip your whatever router you own, most of the newer routers will have not only the network name that it came with as default, but also the default password, right? And how do you connect to this router? Well, you're going to plug it into your power outlet. And once you connect it to your power outlet from a computer, this has to be done from a computer. You can possibly do it from your iPad, but I would advise that if you're doing this for the first time, try to use a laptop. The laptop that you're using, you set up your Touchpix events, that'll work fine. And what you're going to do is first you're going to connect to this router wireless, right? It's not going to have internet connection because you're just going to be connecting to a router with no internet. So in this case, you need to connect this. And as you can see, it also has an IP address above. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And I will show you how the TP-Link router has its identifiers. TP-Link is the same thing. They have a pretty slick way of accessing their configurations online. So as you can see here on the right-hand side where the right arrow is, what ends up happening here on the right arrow is it has the network name that you're going to connect to. It also has a network password. First things first, you unbox it, power it on, connect to the network, and is giving you the identifiers here. In this case, this one didn't give an IP address. This one gives you a generic, like a web page. This is how you configure the router in this circle area. It says TP-Link-Wi-Fi.net. And I'm going to show you the steps. So all you do is once you connect to your internet, in my case, I had these routers already named. When you first buy it out of the box, it's going to force you to give a password to that specific device. So, and this is different than your Wi-Fi password. This is a password that's going to let you go into the configuration settings of your device. Why is this important? Because this password should be unique, because if you're at an event, you don't want somebody who has a similar router to have access on your configuration settings if you leave everything at default. People can really mess things up that way. So give it a name where you can access the configuration settings, okay? Once you have access to the configuration settings, what you do is with the TP-Link router, which is a more popular router, I had already renamed it to Touchpix, but I'm going to rename it here. So you type in TP-Link-Wi-Fi.net, takes you to this page. You hit advance, you go over here to the left where it says wireless settings, right? The wireless settings is what we want to change. Soon as you toggle over to wireless settings, you're going to be given this big menu here where it says Smart Connect. What TP-Link routers do, it works off two wireless bands. It works off a 2 gigahertz band and it works off a 5 gigahertz band. The difference between 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz is as follows. 2 gigahertz works for longer ranges. The speed is fast, but is not as fast as the 5 gigahertz band. But if you go with 5 gigahertz, it works for shorter distances, but faster speeds. So what TP-Link lets you do is if you enable Smart Connect, it basically mixes both your 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz channels and allows you to connect to the router. The router will decide which is the faster connection. So always leave this on, right? That's kind of where we're at. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna rename the router. We don't want it to say TP-Link, right? I would encourage users to rename the router something easy, right? Your business name, if it's not too long. Use something easy. In this case, I'm renaming this router Touchpix, and I'm using it with all caps, right? It's important to understand that if you're going to be using capital letters or lowercase letters, that you're going to have to type the name into the Scanpix settings in Touchpix later exactly the same. So for if the things that makes it real easy for me is that I always use capital letters and naming stuff. It just, I've gotten into the rhythm of doing that. It's worked out great, but you do it in a way that it makes sense for you, whatever's easiest for you. So I'm renaming this router Touchpix, right? And I'm leaving the encryption on automatic. And now I'm gonna give this router a password, like a Wi-Fi password. And as you can see, I'm naming this router Touchpix, and my Wi-Fi password is gonna be enter in lowercase 1, 2, 3, 4. I make my passwords really, really basic. Give me 1 sec here while I close the door. There's a train passing by here. So I keep it really basic, name it Touchpix, capitals, and I leave my passwords lowercase, very easy. Enter 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to give it a difficult password because ultimately you're just using this to share your content. You're not going to be using this at home for your home internet. So name it something very, very easy for you to remember, okay? So again, naming the router, and then I'm naming the password. Then I hit reboot. I'm rebooting my router. And once it reboots, you're gonna see I'm going into my computer and I'm looking for that uppercase Touchpix now. You see it's right in here.
Hey, DJ, we lost you. You're in mute, DJ. Can you unmute, please?
Yeah, sorry about that. I guess I lost connection.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so just gonna back up a couple seconds here, just so you guys understand that I renamed it Touchpix. I'm entering my password. It came up in my Wi-Fi list on my laptop, enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm now connected to that TP-Link router. That's all you got to do with the router. Once you set this up, you're going to be ready to go. I would say about 60% of the people have issues with that specific area there. As you can see, once I'm connected here on my laptop, it's telling me that I'm connected to that Touchpix router, and it doesn't have internet, which is great because we're going to use it for Scanpix and it doesn't need internet. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you the settings for the second router. All the routers have a similar way of setting that up, right? If you buy a TP-Link, great. You have kind of the cheat code here in this video. If you get this little GLI router, you'll have the cheat code here. But if you end up getting something else like a Netgear or just a different brand, a Linksys, everything's pretty much identical if you follow these setup instructions. All you got to do is go into your router configurations. We're going over the GLI router now. I'm connecting to it now. I had previously renamed it Scanpix for the expo that we did, but I'm going to rename it right now in this video. And once it connects to it, I know it's connecting to it because it has no internet, right? So now what I'm going to do is input the IP address. If you guys, I'm going to back up real quick. That way you guys can see that again. As you can see, this is the IP address. I'm already logged into that router. It's the same process. So what I'm going to do now is, like the other router, you're going to have to set up an admin password just to make sure that you have the credentials to change any of the settings, right? I'm into the router here. I go over to the wireless section on the side. And this router settings is a little bit different. The TP-Link router let you consolidate your 5 gigahertz and your 2 gigahertz. This one has them separate. So for the 5 gigahertz channel, I'm going to rename the Wi-Fi SSID, and I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it Scanpix in all capital letters. I'm going to use my nifty password that I keep on using for everything here. Enter 1234 is fine with me. And I'm going to click apply. And it's processing because it's trying to apply the settings. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the 2.4 gigahertz channel. The only difference is I'm going to rename it Scanpix, and I'm going to just call it 2 gigahertz. That way I know that this is my 2 gigahertz versus Scanpix by itself is 5. So I'm going to rename both, give it the same password. And just like I did with my other router, once I hit save, I'm going to go ahead and reboot the router. Okay. And you're done. So I just showed you 2 different routers, 2 different interfaces. I'm looking for the Scanpix all caps here because it already rebooted and it's having me enter the password again. So I know once it comes up in your computer list, you know that you've done it correctly, right? I'm entering the password, which is enter 1234. And I'm going to look to make sure it's connected, and it is connected because it says no internet and it's connected to Scanpix. I'm going to go ahead and hit reboot, and it's rebooting the router, and we're basically done with the router portion. All you're going to do now is put it aside, leave it plugged in, powered on, and we're now going to move into Touchpix. So within Touchpix, I'm loading up an old event that I had. And as you can see in this event, you're going to see that there's already a gallery in play. There's already several videos in that gallery, right? So you're going to go into settings. And right when you go into settings here, you're going to go to menu number 11, right? Menu number 11 in your settings gives you the Scanpix options. Again, I'm just kind of going real slow. That way you guys can see. And hit that. You're going to go into settings. And the important part is when you go into settings, if you noticed up here, I accidentally had Scanpix already running. So you're going to see it in green. I'm going to pause it there real quick. I'm going to go into settings, menu 11. As you can see, that top was green. It says web server running. You need to turn that off, right? Make sure that's off when you're configuring your Scanpix for now. At the beginning, you're always going to leave it off. And then what's going to happen here now is all of this information is optional. Your contact name, your phone number, your web link is optional. What Scanpix allows you to do by inputting this name is once you have, if you decide to input your information here, then it makes it easier for the user to save your business information onto their cell phone. If they click on the little business card tab that Scanpix provides, I'll show that a little bit later. It's easy for them to store that information onto their phone in the event that they want to hire you for an event in the future. So contact, phone number, web link is optional. I recommend you fill it out with your business name, with your business phone number, and with your website if you have one, right? But the important part here, the part that's not optional is the Wi-Fi name and Wi-Fi password. As you can see, I manually inputted Scanpix, and as I explained earlier, I leave the name all capital letters because that's how I set that up on my router. So Scanpix is in full capital letters, and my router password is all lowercase. If you guys remember, it gives you, I use something real basic, enter 1234. That's how I set that up. You can use the same password or you can change it up, but make sure you remember what you're using, okay? So I am already connected to Scanpix on this phone, right? So this phone's already connected to the router. It's connected to the router after I set that up. And right when it's connected to the router, it's important that you come back to the top and you enable Scanpix. Web server running is what you need to see in green, right? This is web server running. That's after you inputted all your information. And once you enable Scanpix, you're going to see this option right here. I just went back a couple of seconds. Make sure you enable it, and you're going to see this option here, generate QR code for Scanpix station. This is very important. This is one of the best ways to use Scanpix. I'm going to show you two ways. This is method one, right? Because I think this is one of the best ways to use it if you're using it with an iPad sharing station, okay? So make sure you click on this right here, generate QR code for Scanpix. And once you click on this, it's going to give you its own QR, right? This QR code here is specifically for your sharing station. I don't want to confuse you guys because when I made this video, it's kind of hard making a video by yourself. So what I did is I took a picture with an extra phone of this same QR code and I put it underneath my iPad, which you will see coming up next. So this is your sharing station. What you're going to do with your iPad sharing station now is you're going to hit activate event, and it's going to give you three options. It's going to give you the test option. It's going to give you sharing station and activate. And of course, here you're going to hit sharing station. And once you hit sharing station, it gives you three different options: Scanpix, online sync, or easy connect. Online sync and easy connect are basically if you're setting up a regular sharing station for videos, not Scanpix related. In this case, you're going to click on Scanpix, and it's giving you a warning saying you're about to activate Scanpix. It's going to ask you for a QR code, but just know that this way, you're not going to be able to share with text messaging, WhatsApp, because this is just a private network that you're setting up. So you're going to hit understood. And now it's looking for a QR code. You're going to see me kind of maneuver my phone with the QR code because it was easier for me to do it that way. I just took a picture of it. And right away it said QR code recognized. So check this out. Once it recognizes the QR code, typically for those that use the sharing station, it's going to ask you to join the network. You're going to hit allow, give it permissions for everything like you normally do. Right now it's loading up that entire gallery, those 70 videos that I had, right? It's going to load up the thumbnails immediately. Look at that. It already loaded them up immediately. That's something that is brand new for Scanpix. Typically, when you're setting up a sharing station, you either have to, do a receiver sender type of thing, and you have to wait for the videos to auto-populate. With Scanpix, they're going to populate immediately. So now, as you can see, it's still loading the rest of my videos, and it's done spinning. So it's loaded all the videos that I had in my gallery, right? So it's that easy. So you can do it two ways, right? You can do it two ways. I grabbed my spare Android phone. I want to make sure that Android phone, I connected it to the Scanpix network, and I'm scanning the second QR code. and that second QR code will give you access to the entire gallery, right? That's one way of doing things. If you want your customers to have access to the gallery, you can do it that way. This new way of Scanpix is this way here. Once the user or the guest gets off the 360, they go over to the sharing station. They see their thumbnail like I just selected here, and they pick their thumbnail. So now their thumbnail is going to load on the sharing station, and their thumbnail will have 2 QR codes. One QR code, the one on the left, is to join the network of your router, right? Once they scan into that, the second option is scanning into the second QR code, right? And excuse a little bit of the delay. It's just hard working with one hand, but I just scanned the second QR code, and now it's playing on the device. So first QR code for the network, the second QR code is for that specific video. This is a good way of sharing based on the fact that if you do it this way, it doesn't give you access to the entire gallery. It gives you access only to that specific video that the guest selected, right? So if a guest gets off, they go to the sharing station, they scan the first QR code, they select their thumbnail first, they scan the first QR code to join the network, and then the second QR code will give them the video instantly, right? This is no internet, no data. This works anywhere, right? Same example here. Scanning the QR codes. There's a little bit of a delay because it's hard to do with one hand, and here we go. It's going to play the video. So this is where everybody kind of gets stuck, and I want to make a good argument or a good explanation because I see a lot of people get stuck here. Once it's on their device, this is not a Touchpix issue. Every single app out there that uses an iPad booth or iOS runs into how do I save a video, right? Because it's an issue. If this was an Android phone, all you have to do is tap on the video and you'll get the download button. All Androids work the same. With Touchpix, or Touchpix and iOS with Scanpix, it works a little different. As soon as the video plays, right, you'll see the video, but in order for you to actually be able to download the video, this is what you need to do. Let me go back, and I just found out what I was doing, why my screen share was a little iffy. So once it plays the video, you see this little the square on the top left-hand side next to the X. You're gonna have to tap on that. You're gonna have to tap on that as the video plays. So once you scan the QR code, you see the video pop up, you're gonna be looking for that little square next to the X. This is for iPhones only. On the top left-hand corner, right? You're gonna see me tap on it real quick. There it is. I'm gonna go ahead and tap on that little corner. And you're gonna see you're gonna have now the ability to see this upward arrow here. There's an upward arrow that's going to allow you to save it to files. Every time you save it from Scanpix, it's not going to go into your camera roll, it's going to go into your files folder. Once you download it from your files folder, you're going to have to hit save to make sure it goes into your files folder. And now you go into your files folder. There it is. It popped up in my files folder. If you want it on your camera roll, you open it up from your files folder. You're going to hit play. And you're looking for this upward arrow again, and you're going to hit save video. And now if you save it like this, it'll pop up in your camera roll. If your guest can't find it, it's going to be in their files folder once they download it. Okay, so that's pretty much how this version of Scanpix works, right? I'm going to go ahead and exit the sharing station for Scanpix, and I'm going to show you now method number 2. Then we're going to open it up for questions. So method number 2, I'm going to go back briefly. I'm going to go ahead and activate from your iPhone. When you're on your iPhone, right, and you're setting up the Scanpix portion here, you're going to be given 2 QR codes. You can actually download those QR codes, maybe print them out in a picture frame. That way, you don't need a sharing station. If you don't want to use a sharing station, you can just have the printouts. But if you're a little creative, what you can do is download both QR codes, and then you can customize them. So this is kind of a wedding that I did in the past. I just downloaded those QR codes, and I made this picture that I had my iPad display. This can be done in a picture frame. You can put it on your iPad. You can put it on any Android tablet, because all you want is to display the QR codes. The QR codes are exactly the same. One of them's to join the actual network of the router, and the other one's to give access to the gallery where their videos are. So this was the event. Just kind of showing, kind of what I had going on here. I think I had a little overkill. I do a lot of testing as well at live events because I want to see what works best for me. And in this case, I had an iPad. I'm gonna try to pause it here. Let me see. Try to pause it right on the picture. That way you can see. Okay. Yeah, so I had an iPad displaying the picture. That way when the guests come out, off the 360, they can come over and scan QR number 1 to join the network, right? And then they can, after they join the network, as you saw, now I come to QR number 2, and the videos are right there. This is my whole gallery. This is to give guests access to a certain number of videos on the gallery. You can control that in the Scanpix settings. And then you hit download, and there's the video, right? This is the video. This was shot with a GoPro. And as you can see, it's pretty rapid. Either method that you decide to use, they're both fully functional. They're both Scanpix. One of them just gives you a sharing station, and the other one you can just use a picture with 2 QR codes. So that's kind of both methods of using Scanpix. I try to simplify this video just to show you how easy it is, right? But at the same time, I want to open it up for questions because I think you guys might have some questions now. Was this complicated? Were you guys able to follow through? This is kind of a wedding that I did in the past. I just downloaded those QR codes, and I made this picture that I had my iPad display. This can be done in a picture frame. You can put it on your iPad. You can put it on any Android tablet, because all you want is to display the QR codes. The QR codes are exactly the same. One of them's to join the actual network of the router, and the other one's to give access to the gallery where their videos are. So this was the event. Just kind of showing, kind of what I had going on here. I think I had a little overkill. I do a lot of testing as well at live events because I want to see what works best for me. And in this case, I had an iPad. I'm gonna try to pause it here. Let me see. Try to pause it right on the picture. That way you can see. Okay. Yeah, so I had an iPad displaying the picture. That way when the guests come out, off the 360, they can come over and scan QR number 1 to join the network, right? And then they can, after they join the network, as you saw, now I come to QR number 2, and the videos are right there. This is my whole gallery. This is to give guests access to a certain number of videos on the gallery. You can control that in the Scanpix settings. And then you hit download, and there's the video, right? This is the video. This was shot with a GoPro. And as you can see, it's pretty rapid. Either method that you decide to use, they're both fully functional. They're both Scanpix. One of them just gives you a sharing station, and the other one you can just use a picture with 2 QR codes. So that's kind of both methods of using Scanpix. Any questions?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
perfect.
So we're looking forward to using Scanpix in these situations where if we have 1,500, 2,500, 3,500 people, we don't have to worry about the amount of people in the area for Scanpix to work perfectly. So I just wanted you to verify that no matter how many no matter how many iPhones, Androids, or whatever, no matter how many different types of phones are in the atmosphere, Scanpix will work flawlessly regardless of the situation.
Correct. So that's what it's designed for. It's designed for those events where it's either high volume or there's no internet connection, no data. So that's why you're creating your own personal network, right? In creating that personal network, it's going to guarantee delivery of all the files because they're stored locally. It's basically using your capture device, your recording device as a server, right? So you'll be able to deliver that content. The only times that I had trouble with Scanpix, and I will throw this disclosure, is that there's people that still exist out there that have very, very old Android phones. And for whatever reason, because their phones are just so outdated, their phone can't read QR code without downloading an app, and it becomes an issue for them. So 9 out of 10 times those people go into the 360 platform with friends. So I always just have their friends text them the link whenever
Yes.
they get an opportunity.
Send Sarah your video, please.
We'll do. Anybody else have any questions? Was this helpful? I mean, was the illustrations helpful? And
Yes,
Yeah, really helpful.
Scanpix?
Really helpful. Yeah, it's Ray again from Auckland, New Zealand. And I came in with questions and you've answered every single question. So I'm off now to go have a play because I'm excited. You've answered everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. And if there's any follow-up, like I said, feel free to jump into our chat via webpage on touchpix.com. And you can ask for me or Julian, or most of the team members are well versed, but I think Julian, myself, Tia, and I think Charles, we're all pretty good with Scanpix, and we can definitely troubleshoot rapidly if anything comes up.
Well, much appreciated. Thank you very much. See you soon.
No problem. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Hi, this is Joanne. I really appreciate you answering during the video because I had a list of questions. So if you go on your messenger and you see a note from me, you can disregard because you answered all the questions that I had.
Got it.
I did get a couple new ones. So with the iPad as a sharing station, you can't limit the thumbnails. Is that correct?
No, it'll be all the thumbnails, correct.
And if I shared the other way, I like the way where I limit the picture.
Correct.
So I would have to do it with the 2 QR codes, and that will give me a limited number of pictures.
Yeah,
you
can set the limit, correct.
Okay. Now the only other problem I had was when I was doing this for like 5 hours on Monday because I wanted to make sure I had all my questions. And from this video, I did it correctly. I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to look. But when I seen your screen, it was right. Now I'm used to when you scan the QR code, it turns green, but it didn't turn green on this, right?
When you scan the QR code, the QR code, I'm sorry?
Scan the QR code to set it up for the sharing station. I'm so used to it turning green, but I think it just stayed blue.
Correct. I think at the beginning it turned green, but shut that off while you go through your setup process, then you're going to activate it. Once you activate it, it should turn green. Okay. Correct.
And then I think, did I have another one? Now when I set it up on my iPad, for whatever reason, it wouldn't let me join my router. I had to go into the settings and join the router that way.
From your iPad. That's why I kind of always recommend doing it from a computer. You can do it from an iPad. It's just sometimes Safari, it gets a little sensitive. So I always have people do it from like a normal computer.
I had set it up. I figured out how to set it up last year, but like I said, it was just put away. I never used it, but Monday I pulled it out and I realized I configured it correctly. But when I scanned the setup QR code with the iPad, it didn't allow me to join the network on the iPad for the sharing station. I had to go in my settings and go connect to the router that way
Okay.
before everything else happened.
Okay, so that's just telling me you may want to look at your Scanpix settings to make sure that everything matches. Because typically when it doesn't let you connect, it means that either the name of the router or the password was typed in incorrectly, meaning that the way you typed it into the Scanpix menu, some people use capital letters and lowercase letters, and they go so quick that they forget to make a certain letter capital, because that's how they named the router. Because it should work. And then the other thing is always make sure that you're up to date on your iPad. It's good practice to keep your iOS up to date, just to make sure there's no hiccups and everything is working accordingly.
Okay, I'll try that. But I really appreciate it. Like I said, I had a list of questions. I'm like, I didn't want to hog the whole meeting, so can I just send them to you?
Okay. I think I just saw that message
it went
before the
over
webinar.
everything that I needed.
Got it. Okay, well, I'm glad it did. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Because I'm gonna run it through a live.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just have a kind of observation. Because I heard the other lady, I think it's Tiffany, mentioned that I've never had that before. That an event up to about 2,000 people, one event like that. How does the 360 survive that? I hope it doesn't break down. Because I've never had more than 100 people at any event that I did. That is for weddings or birthdays. But maybe probably if you're referring to event where you have corporate event where you have a lot of people coming for a corporate event, because I think I had a mention about 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Yeah, I think that's a question for Tiffany. Tiffany,
Yeah,
how does your events hold up, Tiffany, when you're doing large events like that? Do you run into any hiccups?
So typically, because we have a pretty strong workflow, and whenever we have more than about 400 people, and so we'll have an extra assistant. So from a workflow standpoint, it flows pretty well. So what we have run into, which is what I asked about, when we have an event at a venue that has like a ton of people with iPhones, typically AirDrop is what we do, and it works flawlessly, like almost 100% of the time. But whenever we have a ton of people with a ton of iPhones, that's when things typically get like really backed up and really slow. And this has nothing to do with Touchpix. It's just like the network support. So in that instance, we'll use like the, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the public URL. We will have a QR code for people to scan for the public URL, and they can use that. But in this instance, this is when we would really, really, really like to be able to use Scanpix, because it won't slow anything down. We won't have to wait until one of us gets home for like the gallery to upload for people to scan. So this is a perfect situation for Scanpix to work. But to answer the biggest part of your question, the more people you have, so long as you have a solid workflow in place, you can have 100 people, you can have 1,000 people, you can have 8,000 people. So long as you have a solid workflow, as everybody comes through your workflow, as everybody comes through your line, they can do their media, and everything will process appropriately. It will process in a good time, and they can get their media in a time that they're happy with.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, then what about the booth? Doesn't it get overheated or overused for that large number of people? Let's say you have over 1,000 people. What happens to the booth? Does it still hold on? And for how long is that going to hold?
I'll tell you the longest event that we've had so far. So I'm in North Carolina, but we had a 12-day activation at the South Carolina State Fair. And that activation was from 11 a.m. until 12 a.m. daily for 13 days. So think about that, from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. for 13 days straight. The booth worked just fine. My team was tired. I was very tired, but the equipment held up far, far better than we did. So in terms of long activations or a lot of people, the biggest feedback that I can give to you, make sure you have good batteries, make sure that you have backups on deck, but your equipment and Touchpix will work flawlessly every single time. You know, just make sure you know how to troubleshoot when appropriate. Make sure you have a good workflow in place to be able to handle not just short-term but long-term events as well. And I promise you, once again, your equipment will hold up much, much longer and much more effectively than people will. So as long as you can coach your people to operate under long circumstances, you know, they may be hungry, it may be hot, it may be long hours, but your equipment and the software will hold up much better than people will.
Thanks for that, Tiffany. Any other questions?
No, thank you for that tip.
Of course.
DJ, I have a question. This is
Sure.
Pearl from Virginia.
Hey, Pearl.
How are you doing, honey?
Good.
I am going to do a fair this weekend, and I'm going to have the spin booth as well as the photo booth. Can I work the photo booth off Scanpix as well? Do I just connect everything to the router?
No, so the photo booth does work off Scanpix, but you cannot work them both at the same time.
Unless I have two routers.
Unless you have two routers, correct.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion. Maybe I can drop that into the development team and see what they can come up with. But for the time being, you're gonna need two separate routers. And if you do that that way, I would recommend you name them differently. That way, you know, maybe name
DJ,
one photo booth and the other one.
DJ, actually, they can use it with the same router, but they will have to use separate sharing stations for each device. For instance, for the spin booth, they need a sharing station, and for the iPad booth, they will need another sharing station. But they can work in the same.
I see what you're saying.
In the same network. Okay. The same router, but different sharing stations.
Okay, so if I didn't have sharing stations, if I printed those QR codes and put them on the table, would they be able to see both the pictures and the spins?
No, they're gonna see them independently.
Yeah.
They're either gonna see the pictures or they're either gonna see the spins. It's not like a consolidated library because you're using two different capture devices.
So how would I know? How would I get them to know which one? So I'd have to print off two sets of QR codes.
Correct, because your photo booth will have its own set of QR codes. The router might be the same, but the second QR code is going to be different because it's a separate device.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I can just use one router and print off four codes.
I haven't tried that personally, but now that Julian is on and Julian is one of the Scanpix experts, I would say yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, it will work like that. You know, you can run multiple devices, but every recording device has their own sharing station. Even you can have multiple sharing stations from the same device with the same Scanpix code.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
DJ, something that I want to share is that there's important thing that they have to know is that during all the process of sharing, they will have to have the app active in the recording device, that is the server. Because for instance, if the phone turn off the screen, you know, because they are saving power, and then they try to, you know, download a video in the sharing station, the app will crash. Okay, and you will have to reconnect again. But the reason that I'm sharing this is because the last week we had this webinar in the Spanish group, And today, one of the users was trying to download the video, but she forgot to turn off the screen, lock. And once she tried to download, the app was crashing. And we realized that she forgot to turn off the lock. Okay, so just be sure that during the sharing process, you have the screen active and the Touchpix app active. Because if you try to connect with the sharing station and this is not turned on, it will crash. Okay.
So this is what he means for people that just because I'm a visual person myself, like I mentioned from the beginning. So this is important, what you need to do. You need to, your recording device or your capture device, you need to go into your settings. Right when you go into your settings, you're going to look for this option here that's called display and brightness. When you go into display and brightness, you're going to scroll, and right where it says auto lock, you're going to hit never. So this prevents your phone or your iPad from falling asleep, right? Because he's saying that if your phone falls asleep and the screen blacks out, then there's a server interruption and Scanpix won't be working. Make sure that you set this to never. That way there's an active connection and it works the way it should. Does that make sense?
It makes great sense. And this is also true for the folks like me who use a GoPro. Same thing. Before we get started with any event, we always set our iPad for sharing and our trigger device that controls Touchpix to auto lock never. And we also set our GoPro to never go to sleep. That way, no matter how long we're on scene. None of the devices will ever go to sleep, which means that the connection will stay intact. And I wanted to say something really quickly to the woman who just mentioned that she's going to be at a fair coming up soon. So aside from your 360 videos, if you're gonna have people not working, using a traditional photo booth where they take the pictures and pop in their numbers, a lot of people are just traditionally set to pop in their phone numbers. Like if they're using a photo booth, QR codes and everything else are nice, but a lot of people are really just accustomed to using the putting in their phone numbers. So if you tell those people to put in their phone numbers, they'll get the messages, they'll get the media, everything that comes through via text message. So most of those people using a traditional photo booth are not accustomed to using a QR code or any other type of media to get their messages. So in that instance, just popping in their phone numbers through Touchpix for most of the people, most of the time should work just fine.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome, and it's going to go great. I promise you, Touchpix is going to work flawlessly. If you have any issues or any other problems, you can always pop in the Facebook groups in a message or go online and chat, and they will help you out however they can.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany. So I'm going to do a quick live example of what we just went over. Again, this is my router. It's connected to the battery bank, right? I have this phone here it already has a gallery. If you can see, the gallery is the same gallery I showed earlier. And I'm going to go into the actual settings, right? And once I go into the settings, I'm going into menu 11, which is Scanpix. This number here where it says 4, that's where you set a limit if you're using the individual QR codes, right? It's pretty easy to do. And what I want to do now is I'm going to generate a code for Scanpix like we went through in the video. And I need to activate the server, right? It's off. Make sure you do that at the very end. You're going to see that Scanpix is on there for this little router. I'm going to go ahead and activate that. It's now running. And then now I'm going to generate the QR code, which that's what it is. I'm going to go over to this iPad. I'm going to go ahead and hit activate event, sharing station. I want to use Scanpix. It's giving me a warning. It's asking me for camera permissions. And I'm going to grab it and point it at the QR code. And it says QR code recognized, which is great. And one thing that I forgot to show you that I should have showed you is that before you do that, make sure the Wi-Fi is actually connected onto it's gonna connect automatically with this method, but I should have showed you that. So now, since it's recognizing that, it's asking to allow. It wants to join the Scanpix network, give it access to everything, join. It's connecting. And I'm doing it on the fly. That way you can see how fast it works. And, just that way it doesn't take too long to set up. This is a great way to do it. And now that it's on sharing station mode, I'm going to go to the gallery. It's loading. It's going to start loading the videos. And then I'll be able to, oops, I closed out the app over here on my phone. Sorry about that. And I'll be able to scan into it. Let me put this down. It's hard doing it with one hand, but that way you guys could see the actual workflow on how this works. Where is scan? There we go.
DJ, while this is pulling up, may I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Okay, so here's my question. What types of issues, if any, should people be prepared to troubleshoot when using Scanpix?
Typically, the number one issue is inputting the information incorrectly. The information of your router and the password. A lot of people input that incorrectly. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that people run through. Let me make sure that this is on the Scanpix.
Yeah, just complementing what you say, DJ. This is one of the most common errors when you are using, just capitals, and the router is not just capitals. So you need to type it the way that is shown, okay? Because if you change a capital or something like that, it won't work. It won't work, sorry.
The other thing is what I just did here. I went to show you guys something, but this is my capture device here. I did not make sure that this capture device was connected to Scanpix. It's automatically connecting to my home Wi-Fi, which I'm going to go ahead and forget the network, right? And I don't want it connected to my home network. I want to be able to connect it to the Scanpix router, which I just toggled off. And would I recommend that if it's connecting to a different network for you guys, because your phones might do that to a familiar network. I have a bunch of them here at home, so I'm going to go ahead and forget every single one of them. That way it will connect to Scanpix as soon as it pops up. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle it off and on here. And I had just seen that, but I want to make sure the battery is connected. Once it connects to Scanpix, this thing here. There it is, Scanpix, it popped up. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect to that. So it's connected. Now, what I can do is go here. I'm going to go back into the settings. That's the number one error that people, they forget the sequence of steps. I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the server and turn it back on just to make sure it's communicating. Hit Scanpix, go back to my sharing station, right? And now I'm going to go ahead and hit sharing station, Scanpix, understood. I'm going to scan into it. There we go. QR code recognized. Once it's recognized, it's now asking me to join the network. I'm going to let it go through its process. And then I'm going to hit gallery. And you see how they're all popping up now? That was my mistake. My capture device was not on my correct Wi-Fi when I first did it. So that was the error. And that was on me. Right. So now.
Well, that's real life.
Yeah, that's real life for sure. That's what happens. So it's good. It's good to kind of go over the steps. It's just sometimes you go so, and I understand when you do events, you get all these anxiety, you want things to work correctly, and this is something that is easily skipped sometimes, right? So, for example, say I want to pick any of these videos here. Let's go with, I like to go with Rudy all the time because Rudy's Rudy. Let's see, where is Rudy? Here he is. So I'm going to pick the video, right? I'm going to use this Android phone here. See if I can connect to the Wi-Fi. See how it says connect to network, right? So now it's going to connect to the network. It's connecting to Scanpix. This is on an Android, right? And then once it's connecting to the network on an Android, Androids will ask you, if you want to just connect only this time or stay connected. I'm going to hit only this time, right? And then I go back to my camera app, and now I'm going to scan QR code number 2. Let me see. Where was it?
Does only this time mean for the event duration or just this particular instance of sharing?
This instance of sharing. But it gave you 3 options. You can keep connected or only this time. So now that it's on here on my Android, with Android, it's super easy. All you can do is tap these 3 little lines and you can download right there. And with Android, you'll get it automatically. So I'm going to hit download, and there it is. It's already downloaded. You can see how big the file is. It's 20 megabytes. Now I'm going to hit open. And with Android, it's extremely quick. See? So that's the key thing. With iPhone, it's a little bit of a different story with iPhone. So I'm going to see if I can do the same thing and show you guys with the iPhone on how that's going to look. Let's go grab this other video from Rudy.
So quick question to piggyback off of what Tiffany just asked. So if a person gets on the 360 multiple times, they're going to need to scan. They have to reconnect to the router each time and then scan the QR
Well, no.
code?
Well, you have that flexibility. This is with Android. That's what we were talking about right now. With Android, it gives you 3 options. Stay connected only this time, stay connected, meaning permanently, or the third option, I think it was to go with data connection. So you tell your guest or your client what works best for them. They'll be able to know whether it works or not, because if they get off and all of a sudden they can't get their video, it's going to be because they're not in the network. So they're just going to have to go through the steps again if that's the case. But it's not that big of a deal.
But would they actually have to do that every time they get on to see another video? Or would they just be able to refresh?
If they stay connected, they will be able to refresh. But if, like I said, if they just select stay on only for this time, they may have to connect every single time. It's really which of those choices they picked, right? So they can always stay on. And that's another thing. That's a great question, because that's another thing. Because you don't even really have to use a QR code, right? Say the guest has already downloaded their things, right? And they don't want to scan their QR code. They can log in manually by going here to the Wi-Fi settings. And if you set your network and password easily, they can just type in enter 1234 real quick versus a huge long password, right? So that's why I tell people, keep it real basic, keep it real easy. In the event that they need to log in manually, they can do it as well. They don't have to go through this whole mess about scanning QR codes. It makes it easier in some cases, but in other cases, it's a lot easier just going in manually into that Wi-Fi. Any other
DJ,
questions?
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. Would I be able to hook up my DH printer to the router network and print if there's no Wi-Fi?
Okay,
like through Scanpix.
So let me back up, because now I'm thinking, why are you wanting to connect the printer to Scanpix?
Like if I'm at an event, like I'm going to do the Plum Alley Day, and I'm doing like the retro 2x6s, and I'm printing them for people. if they're not on the spin booth and they want to do the regular photo booth, do I connect? Because everything has to be on the same network, correct?
So let me ask you this: what are you using to print? Are you using the print server from a Windows laptop?
Remember we've had several times that with that daggone print pix thing that we need to that we need to flash or whatever.
Oh, okay. So, but you are using a Windows laptop. I remember who you are now.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so that'll work. You can connect to the network because for the Windows laptop to work, your iPad just needs to be also connected to that router. So it'll work.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. It doesn't need to have internet. You just need to communicate via network. That's all.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So is it to my understanding the only way that you can use Scanpix is to have a router?
Correct. That's the only way. Is with the router, correct.
If the device has its own internet, you can't use it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You can't use it without a router.
Okay. Is there any chance that you will never have to use a router?
No, that's how the system is built. So the router is what's doing the heavy lifting and having that access. So this is a great way for people that do events like in camping sites, on boats, in the middle of nowhere. There's some barns out there that people get married in, and there's literally you're in the boondocks. There's literally no signal for anything. So these are perfect. This is a perfect way to deliver the content in those areas, and it's already included in your subscription. So it's a great tool to have in your tool bag. Try it out, see if it works, see if it's a good workflow for you, right? But also know that in the event something is happening with sharing, or you go to a certain venue and you're noticing that your internet speed is super low and your data signal is super low, maybe you get 1 bar, having this in your tool bag is going to save you. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be prepared for this, because that's part of being a professional, trying to get top dollar for the service, is being able to deliver all the content to your guests.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
Not about how it works, but you started off saying that you would connect the router to a battery pack.
Correct.
And a lot of people with the 360s are cordless also, battery packs. In comparison to the iPhone, the iPad sharing station, the 360, which one's going to run out faster? How long does that battery pack on the router last?
Well, it's going to depend on which battery pack you use. You don't have to use it with the battery pack, but I show it with the battery pack, knowing that a lot of users now use their 360s wireless, right? And I would recommend investing in a nice little Jackery type battery, right? That's going to power your iPad without falling asleep the duration of any 5-6 hour event, right? Because those Jackery battery packs can power multiple devices, your iPad and your router, and you don't have to worry about it. Obviously, if you get a smaller battery, it may drain within an hour or two. Really depends on the battery size at that point.
And the usage, right? It's really
correct. The usage and the battery size, correct. Yeah. Correct. But yeah, it's great to have everything wireless. It's just more convenient. There's no power cords, and that's why I always say, look, use it with a battery pack. I've used it with great success with that.
So I have a question. You said that it's good to have this as a backup. So how easy would it be if you're doing a regular sharing station and you realize that it's not your internet strength isn't good? How easy is it to switch over to Scanpix?
It's easy if you already have your router configured, right? If you already do this, configure your router once, and you've inputted all the information onto your phone at home, it's very easy. All you have to do really is plug in your router and turn on that toggle for Scanpix, and that's it.
I'm sorry.
This would also be a good time for you to for you to do your speed test. So if you do your speed test when you arrive to your event, if you have everything set up in place, if your speed test shows that your upload speeds are very slow, then this would be a great time to enable Scanpix.
But I also heard that when you're in the event, when you first get there, it's not a lot of people. So your speed test may be better in the beginning, and then when everyone comes, it's slower. It lowers.
Well, this is what I'll say about that. You will know whether your speed test, if you're doing videos, and I'm not talking about photo booths, if you're doing videos and you go to a venue and you're getting upload speeds of about maybe 15, if you're getting anything above 15, chances are you're going to be good the rest of the night, because no matter how many people are going to come, unless you're at a big festival, it's not going to make that much of a difference upload wise, because a lot of people are not uploading. They're not uploading any content, they're downloading, right? So that's not going to change significantly. But if you go to the same venue and you're getting an upload speed of about 4 or 5, then yeah, you're in a zone there where I would not do any videos with 4 or 5 upload. There's going to be long delays, and you're better off using Scanpix.
Okay, thank you. I just need to, now I know just to put this in my bag for just in case.
For sure. Good, great question.
Okay, so I have a question. At the beginning, you talked about configuration of the router, which I've done that, but somewhere, and I've been trying to set this up while we've been on this webinar. Somehow I think I'm missing a step. So I'm assuming, like when I go into the app, once the router is configured, and I have all my information in. And so at the bottom where it says generate QR code for Scanpix station, and then when I go to the sharing station and connect sharing station to Scanpix, like I have videos in my phone just from testing, and it's not coming up. So am I missing a step, or
yeah, I
what's
think
going on?
you're probably missing that same step that I ran into in trying to do a live demo. So on your device, right, the one that you have videos on,
Yes,
is that already connected to the router, or is
it
it?
is.
Okay, so that's connected to the router.
Yes,
Okay, so then your sharing station, right?
yes,
Are you able to scan into that QR code for Scanpix?
yes. I was able to scan in with the QR code.
And it asked you to join that network, and
Yes,
everything
yes,
went through.
yes.
And when you hit gallery, you don't see anything there.
I don't see anything here. Nothing in the queue. I checked the queue just to make sure there's nothing there.
And is that an active event, or is it a test event?
It's an active event.
Okay.
Actually preparing for an event for Saturday, so this is perfect
Yeah,
for this event.
let's schedule a one-on-one, and when we do that, just I always like to do it either via Zoom or FaceTime, because I want to see what you're seeing. I want to see what you're seeing, and I can guide you better that way, because it sounds like we're missing something.
Right.
It can be a very easy step, but
just DJ, in this case, I would recommend that just be sure that you are connected to the network, because sometimes even it says that it's connecting, the connection is not good to the Wi-Fi network. So just be sure that the sharing station is connected to the network.
Okay.
Okay.
And it is.
it could be multiple things, because look, like when I was showing it live, it was connecting to my Remember networks.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's shifting to a different network and you're not knowing about it. So I think this is appropriate for like a one-on-one. Let's connect, and then we'll get you sorted.
Got you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, DJ, I just have a couple of questions just to round up for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to find out the router, the two router, out of the two routers, which one do you find better out of the two? Is it the smaller one or the first one that you mentioned?
No, they're both the same. They're both exactly the same. They're Wi-Fi 6. Like one of them is just more portable than the other. That's the only difference.
Oh, okay. And the other thing is that once you do the setup, the initial setup, do you have to carry the router with you to every event that you go? Once you do the setup, that's it, or you have to take it out to every event that you go?
So typically it's the same. If you have a router outside of what I showed you, there's a chance that the IP addresses may change, or if you're using multiple different devices, the IP addresses may change. But typically, if you're using any of these two that I just showed you, and the same capture device, the IP addresses stay the same. So you don't have to do that every single time, unless you delete the app and reinstall it, of course.
Okay, so that means I don't have to I don't have to take the router with me to every event. I can just leave the router at home.
No, this is, you've got to take it to your events. How else?
Oh, to the event.
Yeah. How else is this good? Yeah, you need the router at the event. You're creating a local network for yourself at the event.
Oh, for myself. Oh, okay, fantastic. Okay, then my third question is, I've done this a couple of times, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. When I've paid for the software and I use an event and it's going to expire after I've done my event, I just try to create an extra event before the deadline expires, so I can keep it for another event, another upcoming event that I can have in the future if I don't have anyone within the period when it's going to expire. So after I've saved it in there to create an imaginary event, then if I have an event, I use it there for the event. But sometimes it works for me, and sometimes by the time I go to now start with the event, it just goes to setting up event all of a sudden, and it goes to error. I don't know why that. Why does that.
I could tell you why it does that. It does that because that is the security parameters. Because once your event is expired, it's expired, right? You're really not supposed to set up another event to use while it's expired. So you're gonna get kicked off.
I actually I set up the event before it expires.
I understand that, but you're trying to use it after
it expired. Yeah.
So it's against our user guidelines, and I wouldn't advise that because it's going to reset on an event, and then
exactly. I was just wondering, maybe you're
going to run into other issues for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, you can definitely take both in the same session. It's an awesome user add-on, but you will have to toggle on your GoPro between photo and video to take the photo. When you want to take the photo, you toggle it back over to video for the 360 session. The GoPro will not do this on its own, but it literally takes you like 2 seconds to switch back and forth between the two. But it's totally something that you can easily do in a session.
Actually, Tiffany, I have a GoPro 10 and 11, and I use a wired method, and my GoPro does toggle on its own. So if I have a photo booth
even better. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if it does a photo booth experience, it'll toggle from photo to video on the fly. So you don't have to manually do it. I don't know about the older GoPros, but I know the GoPro 10 and 11 wired. If you do it wired, it'll toggle on its own.
It is so awesome that Touchpix offers that that capability between the two. So thank you for teaching me something that I did not know. But kudos to Touchpix for that. Awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just gonna have to get creative with your pricing. It's an added fee. I wouldn't throw it in just to throw it in, but you're able to do it for sure.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I'll take that as a no. I hope that this webinar was informative. I hope that it answered a lot of questions. Julian and I are easily accessible. Shoot us a DM if you can. Give us a chat through our website if you need any help. This video will be posted up in YouTube and within 48 hours. And I'll post something in the group of where you can find this video. But I thank everybody for just putting some time aside to try to learn and enhance your business. Anything Touchpix related, feel free to reach out. Julian, you want to say anything?
Yeah. Anytime you need help, please start a chat and we are going to join to help you, okay? Just be sure that some people are afraid that the chat is here, but we are always, trying to help people in the chat, in the group. So just post it, tag us, and we're going to jump to help you. Okay.
All right, guys, have a great night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. We're going to be setting up another poll to see what you want the webinar for. Charles and Tia will be doing one next week, and then we come back on in 2 weeks. So we're just going to go by the poll to see what you guys want to learn. I want to get into some more advanced features with maybe animated overlays, just more advanced features that the app is able to do. But again, just answer those poll questions, and we're just going to go based on the amount of responses that we get. And again, thank you guys for staying on with us, and have a great night. See ya.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Man, appreciate your help.
Thank you.